I want to you also to know a little bit more about Germania.
Oh,
What is Germania? What was Germania? Where did it exist? Where did it come
oh
from?
God! Well, it didn't really exist ever. Oh gosh, it must have been the Romans that coined the term. Yeah, the Nazis were trying to build a big new capital, so they wanted to call that Germania. The Nazis didn't really like Berlin.
Mhm.
Berlin was filled with communists, big communist city. The Nazis got their support in the countryside, right? Not in the city.
Oh, that doesn't change so much from nowadays.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a big working class city. It's also like dirty, and it's where, as I said before, you've got 3 different gay districts, and the Institute for Sexual Research, headed by Magnus Hirschfeld, that's like one of the first things to be attacked by the Nazis in 6th of May 1933. It's only a few weeks after Hitler comes to power. Yeah. So all these things that they don't like. And so they plan to kind of rebuild it. So you mentioned before the Olympic Stadium, right? They want to build things in that style, right? Which is a new style. It's also quite modern, right? In how it looks. But they're also trying to be inspired by the Romans and by the Greeks, and try to show that, the Germans have always been brilliant throughout history when they kind of haven't. Like they've never, were they the big power that went across the world that had the most futuristic technology, right? No, they weren't, right? They were always there. They're always part of it because they're in the center of Europe. But the Nazis, I guess, were trying to show we're big, we're powerful, we're important. And so that's what the Olympic Stadium does. To this day, it's an impressive place if you go there. I was last there the other day at a football game. Hertha won 5-2. And my dad was here. I was like, Dad loves football. Let's go see a football game. By the way, the home side will lose. Like, that's what they do. 5-2. Amazing. Germania then was a plan to kind of just like build an entire new city. And they got as far as building a model. They demolished quite a few parts of town. There are still some buildings you can see. If you ever go, say, through the Brandenburg Gate, there's a great big road. Right, this road was going to be used for parades and so on. Right, today it's called the Straße des 17. Juni. It used to be called the Siegesallee, the Victory Alley. Right, you go right to the other end. You've got the Charlottenburg Gate that was widened to make way for this great big
where the university campuses are.
I believe that's correct. Yes, I never went to university here, but I think as you go through, they're on the left side. I think. Yeah. And you get to like Ernst Reuterplatz and stuff like that. Yeah, this is all this big kind of road. You can tell by the street lights there as well. I think the first video I ever did, so that came out last year, I think that was about the street lights, either the first or the second one. Speer's lantern. So Albert Speer was the boss behind the project, let's say. He's not the only architect behind it, as people often think. I mean, this was a total redesigning for a city. So, obviously he didn't design all the buildings himself, but he had final say over everything. But you can still see parts of it, like the Italian embassy, Japanese embassy, Spanish embassy. Like, that's not a coincidence, right?
That's here near Tiergarten, all of this building district.
And if you look at them, you'll see they're all kind of similar, kind of different, because they're embassies, so they're allowed to show off a bit more kind of flair and style. But they were all countries that Nazi Germany was very much friends with. So you can see the same with East German history, like the Czech embassy from the 1970s. It's like a communist spaceship landed here, They were friends with East Germany. We've got a giant North Korean embassy here, right? Because it was a communist country. It was an Eastern Allied country, right? So the East Germans let them have all this space, right? So it's not to entirely liken East Germany with the Nazis, but still. But yeah, Germania was more like a kind of fever dream. Like, let's build this big thing. The amazing guys over at the amazing people over at Berliner Unterwelten, they've got a model of the Germania project, and that's in Gesundbrunnen station. It's one of those German things where you're not allowed to take pictures of it. And you're like, yeah, Germans are like that, aren't they? And you're like, but if I took photos of this and showed it to my friends and I was like, this thing is cool, then they might come here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but
they don't want people.
Gesundbrunnen, there is a model of how.
Yeah. And so that gives you this kind of idea of just how big all of this would be.
Okay.
The centerpiece was a giant dome. So the Reichstag building is Germany's parliament, massive thing, right? Built in the 1890s, and for the Nazis that would just be one building on a giant square. And at one end of this giant square would be a huge dome, right? So 300 meters tall. The the disco ball on the TV tower is like 320 meters or so.
So they wanted to have it bigger, taller.
Massive. Wow. Not a little shorter than the TV tower, but massive thing. And like 200,000 people inside there that would, I guess, come a bit like going to the Vatican. I think was in their heads, right? Of like, and they'll come here and Hitler will tell everyone how he hates all these people and how he's brilliant, and everyone will go, play the hits, buddy. But yeah, they demolished some buildings. They built some lampposts. They built some staircases that lead to the Victory Column under the road. Those are also toilets.
Okay.
So if I'm ever on the bus with the tour group, I'll be like, so the Nazis wanted to build this, and this. Anyway, they built some stairs and some toilets. So, but it just shows you they are kind of ridiculous. If they weren't so evil, they're like ridiculous figures, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be the biggest, best, greatest this. And what do they achieve? Toilets. That's what I really wish I could say to the AfD today, right? Like, all these thoughts, feelings, directions, whatever. Remember where it led you before.
Yeah.
The Nazis got what? A country divided, lost a huge part of it. Some of it's even communist, would you believe? And like millions of dead Germans. That's what you achieved.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of what you wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.